Yeah, well, happy Thanksgiving week to everybody. A couple days away. Always a good time of year. Typically, in our world, we're on the road, and we are there again. But really, yeah, excited for where we are up to this point. We got a couple days off this weekend to kind of take a step back and evaluate a little bit, and not that we weren't healthy, but just to get our bodies right. And we've had a couple good practices this week, and we'll continue to get ready for High Point and anybody that we might play after that point. But yeah, we're in a really good spot right now. Excited for this weekend. Excited to go. I know it's not like we're not playing road games, but we're going on the road for essentially the first time for these games that count. So excited to see what we can do outside of the Coliseum now, which we felt like we've established a pretty good identity. So we'll go take it on the road and see what we got, and hopefully we get better. And I think we'll know a lot more about our team a week from today than what we know right now. So excited to see what's in front of us.
Coach, I've always kind of wondered with the MTEs, like when you go into each summer and you're comprising the schedule, are there a host of them that you can choose from, and then if you get one that's really, really good, how does that affect how you schedule the rest of your non-conference? I'm sure there's some correlation.
Yeah, I know there are. Yeah, there seems to be more and more of these MTEs popping up every year, and more opportunity to go to different places. And there's certain rules about how many league schools you can have in one, how many years in between playing in the same one. So there's all sorts of stuff that you kind of have to build. But yeah, scheduling's a matrix, and it's all about, who else do we have on the schedule, who's going to be in the MTE. Some of, the time you don't want to fully commit to one until you know who your opponents are going to be. And so, yeah, it's a process. It's certainly like a puzzle. It's putting together a puzzle. And, this one had a little bit of everything, has some other Power 4 school, I think, some, quality mid-major type program. So just gives us an opportunity. I just think 3 games in 3 days, it's a lot, and at times maybe a little too much. But I just think you learn so much about the toughness, and it doesn't always go as planned. We went down to Puerto Rico last year and won 2 just terrible games, ugly, had to defend, different people had to step up. I remember Tavi Diggs played a great game the 3rd game when we needed somebody to step up. And so we're going to learn a lot more about our team. And so that's why I like it. It just becomes just such a mental and physical battle when you get to that, back half of the 2nd game, and then the 3rd game is just a lot of guts. So anyway, we'll see what we got. But yeah, it happens differently every year, but we thought this was a good place to go see what we're made of.
Obviously, probably kind of figured you were going to be ranked going into the season. So when you were looking at this, having an opportunity to play another ranked team in Texas, was that like a big draw?
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember. There's a part of me that doesn't even. I don't know that we knew Texas was in it at the time we committed to it, but I think we knew there would be another, Power 4, possibly ranked type team that would be there. So a lot of times they don't know the organizers of these MTEs. They'll give you, here's who we're talking to, here's who's committed, here's who we know is going to be in. This is an 8-team field, so then you don't know your matchup necessarily either when you first sign up. So yeah, they're a little tricky. We do have to give a little bit as coaches on the MTEs. I feel like we don't necessarily get or have the say. We don't determine the opponent, so to speak. They do. I think we can kind of guide them a little bit on what we're looking for out of it, and then they just kind of pair you up from there.
Coach, what is your evaluation of your team through 6 games?
For the most part, it's been about where I would want us to be. There's certain areas that we still need to get better. Some that we talked about a year ago, from rebounding and 3-point shooting and efficiency and those types of things that I feel like we're better. We're still going to play some teams probably this week that might be able to expose some of those areas. So I think we're really going to find out if we've taken the right steps. But I think more than anything, just the versatility of this team has been nice. It's still a work in progress for me. I've used the word separation a bunch with y'all. I'm still needs a couple of the players still to separate a little bit more. I think some have started to separate some, so we're starting to figure out some lineups. But I just think we can play differently, and I think throughout a long season you need to be able to win games differently, and I think we have the personnel to kind of help do that a little more this year than we did a year ago.
You kind of alluded to this a little bit ago about the tournament games. Is this an opportunity for you to really learn about your depth and evaluate that, knowing that you're going to need to dig into that a lot over the next few days?
Yeah, and it's something we addressed on Monday when we kind of got back after the weekend and talked about, there's so many ways this coming up weekend can go when you play 3 games in 3 days, and you just never know whose number it's going to be or who's going to get the hot hand. And, a certain matchup for us may dictate somebody that gets to play a little bit more. And so just really kind of, having them think it through, understand that we're going to have a lot of kids play. We need to have a lot of kids play. We need to spread out the minutes to survive the weekend. If we don't, and the way we play doesn't help. We can't play that way probably for three consecutive games. So we're going to have to pull off of it at some point, I would imagine, or use our depth to spread out the minutes.
And in terms of scouting, when you have matchups that you don't know about, how do you guys approach that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we obviously assistant coaches and staff, it's all divided up amongst them. So they're prepared. The good news for us, since we hadn't played since the end of last week, we've had plenty of days to go over potential matchups, work on certain things throughout practice that we may or may not even tell the team who we're working on, but it's just a concept that we've seen from somebody in the tournament that we might play. And so I think you just build it that way, still put the emphasis on yourselves, but if you only have 24 hours to prepare for an opponent, you would like to have been able to do something during the week, so it's not just during the walkthrough. But we don't really have shoot-arounds like we normally have. They're going to be walkthroughs and probably in the hotel ballroom, and so it's a little bit of a different approach. But that will be good for us because we haven't had to do that yet either. And when you get into tournaments, conference tournaments, NCAA tournaments where you just don't have a lot of time to prepare, this is a good challenge.
I don't know if you come from a big family or not, but what's it like to have a Thanksgiving dinner with an entire basketball program?
Yeah, well, it's the norm for me now over the years. I mean, that's just what it becomes. So, yeah, I mean, we've been everywhere. I've been all over. Sometimes my family has been with me on Thanksgiving. This year they will not be because of the kids. As they've gotten older, their schedules get a little busier. But, yeah, we are a family away from our own. That's fairly typical for our players. So we will have a Thanksgiving meal just like everybody else does, and we're just with our family as a team. But, yeah, it's normal. I couldn't even tell you the last time I had a Thanksgiving in my house, so it's just kind of what we've grown to know.
When you're doing that quick scout, you kind of have to simplify it for the players since you really have very limited time in between games. So you just kind of give more of a basic scout than usual.
Well, the scout piece is probably going to be the same. It's the on-court preparation that changes the most. So you're getting a lot of mental reps is what we tell them. You don't get nearly as many physical reps, and so you have to mentally prepare more than you physically get to. So again, that's why we've tried to use this week a little bit to get the physical reps, and you're just guessing. You don't know who you're going to play. And so you just take bits and pieces from every team or concepts that maybe one of these teams run that's on our side of the bracket that's a good concept. Maybe we need to work on that. We hadn't seen that yet this year. And then through that quick turnaround, then we can say, oh yeah, guys, remember this drill we did the other day? That's why we did it. And that's the concept we just worked on. So yeah, different approach, but, and a lot more mental than physical.
Through the 6 games, besides the starting 5, what other players have stood out to you these first couple?
Well, I think everybody's had moments that's been in, so I don't know that there's any particular. Woodley's had some really good moments. I thought her last game was by far her best game in a Mountaineer uniform. I think CeCe's playing with confidence right now and her ability to pass, and with Jordan Thomas, of course, who even got to start the last game as a freshman, has been really good for us. And Tears has played well all year. The Zaya, Destiny, like that group still, working through it just differently for each one of them. Danelle will still have some moments, I have a feeling, at some point this year where we're going to need her and going to need that size. So I just need them to keep going. But the second unit has an opportunity to be pretty good, and we just need them to continue to kind of gain confidence. I think that'll help them the most.
If I ask a question about the rankings, there's going to be, the coach speak is, it's November, rankings don't care. Players kind of say the same thing. And I get all that. I was asking this question to Tirza the other night. When you kind of look over the span of the roster, outside of maybe a few players, there's a lot of players on this roster who previously, wouldn't have had a chance to play for the number 12 team in the country. Jordan Harrison. I mean, SFA was probably never going to be ranked 12th in the country. Along those lines, is there something special to this ranking that you guys have?
Yes. We don't talk about it. Like, we haven't even mentioned it, haven't said a word about it to our team this week at all. And that's not coach speak. It's just not what I want to sit around and have a conversation with. My goal, I think, is to make my team be the best that it can possibly be. And those rankings and those things, that's what everybody else does. Like, we just are trying to put the product out there that is right. We want recruits to see it. We want people to realize what we have going on here. But yeah, I think we have a lot of kids that are in the similar situation. You have a coach too that's coming from the mid-major level that's worked his whole career to be in this situation. So yeah, I think there's a few times that I'll sit back and, man, that's pretty cool. Like, we're the 12th ranked team in the country. But I still think it's so hard to get there and it's harder to stay. And so we just want to continue to try to get better and win big games and whenever that comes. And I think we have that standard of excellence that we expect our kids to achieve. Do we ever meet it? No, you don't ever play a perfect game. You're never going to get there, but that's always the goal. And then at the end, we'll reflect on it. This isn't the time to reflect necessarily. This isn't the time I don't think to talk about the ranking. We'll let everybody else do that. But yeah, like one of the coaches came there, that coach, that's 12 is pretty sweet. Like, that's a pretty good, like, that number's getting up there. And I think we got 351 or so Division I teams, and you're considered one of the elite right now. That's really hard. It's really, really hard, and it is special, and I don't want to completely discount it. But it's not something else I just want to sit and talk about very often. We're not there yet. Yeah, we got a long way to go.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.